Buddy, today I'm going to just hang out for about 55 minutes to an hour and answer some of your questions on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you guys so much for your support. Anybody that watches, likes, subscribes, shares, does anything is here. I appreciate you. And today, no agenda, no story, no news articles, just reading questions on Facebook and YouTube. And just letting you guys know on Rumble, I would love to answer your questions too. I just got to figure out how to get them on my screen so I could see them while I'm live, because I'm not trying to discriminate against my Rumble brothers and sisters out there. Appreciate you guys. Today's Sunday edition of Dream Rare Podcast starts now.
It's the Dream Rare Podcast. Welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from obstacles. Yeah.
What's cracking, guys? We got Neil, Jaime, I wanted to say it properly, Christopher, Sister T, Kelly, Kelsey, For Real, Kelly from New Jersey, Brent, Wells, Daniel, Looney CC, remember, can't see your full name, Kelly Phoenix, James McNeil. I appreciate y'all. Thank you guys so much. And different energy for today. It's an hour, and we're just going to answer questions. I don't have a news story. I have nothing really to talk about. I just want to see what you guys want to know. Someone said, boomer fan here. Thank you. We love the good boomers. We love the bad boomers, the in-between boomers, the boomers who get mad. We love all boomers here, but it doesn't mean we want our country to continue getting obese and addicted to pharmaceutical pills and false paradigms. We have to win, but we love everybody. Do I think we'll ever be free from that one foreign country having such extreme influence over our country? Yeah, I mean, I think it depends when Americans stop being so weak. I was just talking about this, but in Canada, in America, in Europe, you could blame someone else. You could blame another country. You could blame a group of people, but really, there's nobody to blame but yourself. Like nobody's doing this to you. People are allowing it. Like American politicians are sold out and no one seems to care as long as there's a red and a blue and this person, that person. So I think America will be great again, and America will serve its own interests when the people here care about their own interests. When you can convince half the population to hate themselves and the other half of the population to worship politicians who don't care, then you get the current paradigm. So it's really a game, I think, of self-awareness and awakening. And whenever that happens, that's when the shift will change. It's not just going to magically change because people want it to or they like a politician. That's my opinion. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate you. Someone said, thank God we still have mail-in voting. I'm guessing you're being sarcastic unless you're a huge mail-in voting plan. Someone said, are you okay with what Elon said about foreigners being replacements? I didn't see what he said, but I'm not Elon Musk, so I don't make electric cars. I don't do Neuralink. I mean, I agree with a lot of what he says, but I also disagree with some stuff he says. So I can't speak on his exact comment, but I mean, at the end of the day, like I did see what he said about Japan and America, where he said that Japan, the population rates are too low and they have no replacements. In America, I mean, I'm not saying it's a good thing necessarily, but it's like people, I guess people need to have babies or else you're going to wear your country down, either get replaced, or he believes that Japan's going to stop functioning because they don't have replacements. So I didn't see his full statement to really judge what he's saying, but I think Americans need to just pay attention. I can't say I agree with it, but it's like you got to do something. Or else something bad's going to happen. Brent Wells said, hey, I'm a boomer. I'm wide awake. Then you must be more frustrated than me, Brent, because if you're an awake boomer, it must have been decades of you trying to tell people stuff and them not listening to you. Anomaly, Donald Trump's. Hold on, I missed that one. What does it say? Sorry, I'm going back. Please tell me your thoughts. I heard RFK is faking his position on Israel until he gets elected. I don't. Here's the thing: is I don't think he's going to get elected. So I don't think he's going to win the election. I don't think he has a chance. I don't even know what he's really doing because I'm not saying to wait 4 years, but if he would have waited 4 years, he could have been the Democratic nominee and actually won. So I don't think he's going to be president. So I'm not really taking too seriously what he's saying. Like, when I'm president, yeah, when I'm president, everyone's going to be drinking like organic acai bowls out of the water fountains. Like, it doesn't, what I'm going to do when I'm president doesn't matter, just like when RFK Jr., unless he wants to be president another time. I would love to see him get a shot at some point, sort of, but I just don't think it's this time. So I don't, I take people by what they're saying. I don't play this game of like, he's saying this and then he's going to do this later. It's like, so he's lying to me or he's lying. I don't know. I'm not really buying that, but either way, I don't really care. What's my take on the carnivore diet healing people? If it works for you, it works for you. I don't know about eating only meat, but to each their own. I don't know what it has cured people of. I mean, it's probably better than not eating it, but only eating carnivore stuff, that's not me. But I'm not a health expert. What are my thoughts on COVID-19? It's my favorite band. I mean, did you hear their last album? It was so good. It shut down the world for 2 years. I know what you're talking about as far as the theory of like, what's it called? The terrain theory. I don't have a strong opinion on it. I haven't read too much into it, but at this point I'm very skeptical. So I'm not ruling anything out. I guess I just try to take care of myself and be healthy. How did I find Jesus? Well, he was hiding behind the cupboard and I was like, there he is. And then I found him. I'm just kidding. Definitely, it was a long journey. I fell away from God and religion, and I think I became spiritual and self-aware. And I'm glad I became self-aware, and I hope I still am. But I think through friends, through politics, through the world getting so crazy, brought me back to God. Definitely good friends and good friends in weird times. What are my thoughts on psychedelics? I don't promote drug use. I don't think it's appropriate. I think I reach a large audience now. So I don't, if you're sober and you've lived your whole life sober, I would never tell you to do anything. I mean, that's incredible. I think that's awesome. Me personally, I have done psychedelics in my life. I'm not against them. I'm not really doing them right this second or anything, or I don't feel the need to, but I have done in my life. And I don't personally consider it a bad thing. I think it did open my eyes to a lot of things at a young age, if I'm being quite honest. So I don't know if I would have figured it out on my own or that's why I figured it out. I'm not really sure, but I'm not anti-psychedelics personally, but I'm also not telling everybody, oh, you need to do it every day all the time. It's like, I think it's awesome to do nothing, but to each their own. I'm not against it. Why has the U.S. government abandoned the American hostages in Gaza? Because they're on the side of Israel, and I don't know. It's the same reason that journalists, like mainstream media journalists, have been killed in Gaza, and the mainstream media barely talks about their own journalists getting slaughtered. It's not really that hard to figure out why they don't want to talk about it, but I don't know if they're afraid to, or they just don't care, or they know that the U.S. government and the media is mostly on the side of American Israel. I can't tell you. When can I invite Chad O. Jackson back? Definitely soon. He actually reached out to me this week. So Chad is a friend of the show. He's a good guy. And yeah, definitely soon. Thoughts on Eastern religion? What do you mean by Eastern religions? Like Taoism or Buddhism? I don't know what Eastern religions means. Thanks for answering honestly. I appreciate it. Thank you. That's the point of this. Do I think any change in the president will alter this trajectory we seem to be on? Personally, I don't, but I was just thinking about it today. If Trump gets in, like if he can close the border and deport millions of people, then that would be a huge win. But if he doesn't do that, then I don't know. So we'll see. To me, I'm still trying to figure out, is it just like a show? You know what I'm saying? Like you watch a show. If you've ever seen any movie or any show, there's like a good guy, a bad guy. They almost get it. They're running away. You watch Cirque du Soleil. There's like a random rhinoceros man running around, and then the other person jumps into a pool. And it's a show. And you're like, whoa, the dynamic between that was crazy. Like he ran really fast and he ran slow, and I thought he was a good guy. And then he got caught by the zebra. But at the end of the day, like it's all scripted. So to me, I don't is Trump going to do, is he trying? Is he just another guy that needs to be there in order to like push the show in the right direction? Like, I don't know that Trump got bamboozled by the deep state. Like, he might have just been there to be the guy to justify it to conservatives and sell this idea that it's good or whatever because of China. So we'll see. Only time will tell, but maybe Trump could make the country better. I think that's what people are hoping. I personally have lost like faith in that. My faith is not in Trump anymore. So, I wish him luck, but I'm not sure. I don't see it though. Someone said, why do cops, all capitals, you seem upset. Why do cops stop anti-Israel protests but not stop anti-white riots? Well, that's one of those times that I feel like the question almost answers itself, like your question pretty much answers itself. Why? Because they care about the one more than the other. Why do they care about the one more than the other? Because Republicans are fake opposition. Democrats liked the first one because it played in their advantage, and they don't like the second one because it's not their agenda. So they're a little more critical of it. Do I think Trump would still try to end the Ukraine war? Well, this is the interesting part about the theory that it's all just a show, because at the end of the day, that war seems like it's running out of room. So it's like Trump can get in and it's like over. And then Trump could be like, stop it, Zelensky. And then people are like, oh my gosh, Trump ended the war. But like, would it have ended anyway? Like, I'm pretty sure, listening to people that I actually trust, because I'm not a huge expert, like I'm not following the day-to-day like war patterns of what's going on, but the people that seem to be following it that seem not fake, they seem to think that like it's pretty much wrapping up and that Ukraine is losing and 60 billion is only going to delay it. That's what Ron Paul said. He said it's going to delay it for Biden. So part of me thinks like Trump will get in and the Ukraine war will end and then the Israel one will start, like, or continue. So it's like, it feels to me more like passing off a baton between the puppets in order to get certain narratives. Like, it's so fascinating to me because I understand there's a different dynamic to Ukraine and Israel, but like this boomer got mad at me on Twitter, and her top comment was like, it was like, F Ukraine, F Zelensky, F Mike Johnson. Like, and it had a big Ukraine flag, and she's like, F all the money that we're giving to Ukraine. Okay. But then she's like yelling at me in the comments about something about Israel, and she doesn't even know what she's talking about. Like, this is my issue with not all, but some boomers. It's not like, I don't care what country you like. If you like Israel, that's not my problem. You just don't listen. Like, I'm saying something specific, pointing it out about something. Like, I'm not even going to repeat what I said because it's not relevant, but I'm talking about something completely different, a dynamic that you don't understand. But the reason they don't understand it is because they never listen. So it's like, it's like you feel this way about that country, but Trump is the one who's going to ramp up the other country and all his supporters are going to fall for it. So it's like, I feel like only time will tell. Someone said, Anomaly, where's the video of the war in Ukraine? Everyone has a phone. That's one giant money pit. I don't disagree, Dan. I mean, I'm not an expert that I'm going to say that there's nothing going on because I'm not in the position to say that, but there's been a lack of videos in that war, in my opinion. And like you said, it's like, oh, well, they're on Telegram. Well, how come all the Ukraine and Russia videos are on Telegram where you have to go search for them, but the Palestine ones are in my face all day and I'm not even trying to look at it? Like, there's a lot of footage coming out of Israel and Palestine, but there's really not that much footage on Twitter of Russia and Ukraine. It could be censorship, but I don't know. I'm not saying nothing's happening. Obviously stuff is, but something's doesn't feel right to me about that one for sure. Someone said boomers pretty much destroyed Western civilization. Yeah, it's Dunk on Boomer Week if people didn't realize, but God bless. Anyway, do religious consequences and overtones exist in modern day politics? 1,000,000%. And this is the interesting part is like the lady talking to me about like Israel and Ukraine. It's like the reason so many people don't know that much is because they never listen. Like, in order to learn, you have to listen. And there is absolutely religious undertones, overtones in all aspects of what's going on in Russia, in Ukraine. I'll say this about Zelensky. Zelensky's biggest backer was Kolomoisky. And if you look it up and you look hard enough, I think Atlantic covered it. It was called The Betrayal of Volodymyr Zelensky. It's an article they wrote years ago before the war. They said that Kolomoisky, who is Zelensky's backer, was building, I believe, the biggest Jewish facilities in the world, or synagogues or religious facilities. I can't really remember the exact one. I'm not saying that to be hateful or anything. I'm just saying, like, imagine if a backer of Zelensky was building the biggest mosques in the world or the biggest churches in the world for the Vatican. Don't you think everybody would be talking about it? But with that, they don't. With Israel, of course, there's religious undertones, overtones. It's, in many cases, the place of Jesus Christ. It's the place that they're building a temple. There's, Christians who believe that this is how the end times is going to be spurred off. There's Jews who are probably plotting about some sort of Mashiach return. I don't really know because I'm not into Judaism as much, but there's absolutely religious undertones in every aspect of politics. So I think this is my point that I always make to people. So many times people say, like, I don't care what race you are. I don't care what religion you are. That's totally fair. I think that's a beautiful thing. But if you're trying to analyze politics and understand it, you can't just say, I don't care about race. I don't care about religion, so no one else does. That's not true at all. A lot of stuff that's going on is ethnic. A lot of stuff that's going on is religious. A lot of stuff that's going on is thousands of years of plotting, planning, revenge. But nobody knows it because this is the problem with with being ignorant and having no self-awareness. You walk around and you think everybody thinks like you, everybody, and then you just become an idiot. So I think there's so many people that they don't understand the dynamic to it at all. And maybe they know a little part of it. Like maybe their pastor told them they have to beat up Palestine in order for Jesus to come back, but they've never thought about it. They've never heard the counter argument. They've never really analyzed it. They've just gone along with it. And then you become annoying. When you talk to people in politics, you become ignorant. You become like very annoying because you're so opinionated, but in a way that like it doesn't even make sense. So yeah, I think there's so many undertones, racial, religious, for sure. And there's deals being made too, like Turkey. I'm not super familiar with their politics, but say that I don't know even how to say his name right, so I'm not even going to try to say it. But the leader of Turkey, I know how to spell it, I just don't know how to pronounce it properly. The leader of Turkey says, "Stop it, Israel! Stop doing what you're doing." So because like he's supposed to have the Muslims on his side, but a lot of Muslims think he's phony. Not all, but some, because it's like he's saying that, but also he's really not doing that much because I believe he's doing a deal with Israel and probably America in their Armenia situation. There's a lot of like conflict going on there between those two countries. So it's like there's so many deals being made. There's so much. Someone's talking about oil, oil economy. Obviously, that's a huge part of it, currency. But this is the funny part when you like just talk to average people. And I'm not saying average, like I'm so above average, but they don't know anything. It's like Trump said this or Trump did this, or like, oh, I hate Trump because I watch the TV. It's like, there's no thought process behind their thoughts. It's like all random side picking. And it's just like embarrassing. And I think that's a large reason that America's falling apart, is because they have no loyalty to their ancestors. They have no drive and ambition to save their country. They have no, self-awareness to question the dogmas. So it just becomes this stupid I call it cattle battle. I think it's a funny name, like left and right in America. It's just cattle battle. They're just fattening everybody up with bad food and pharmaceuticals. And then, people argue like it's a Oakland Raiders game, and then it doesn't even like matter if you're right or wrong, because you're wrong just based off of the framing of the conversation. It's very odd. Someone said Blinken is now accusing China of election meddling. That, to me, that's an interesting one, because here's my thought about the TikTok China thing. China says it's not going to sell TikTok, right? They don't want to sell it. They'd rather just shut it down than sell it to America. There's thousands of American businesses making billions, probably upwards of trillions of dollars between the relationship between America and China, probably in the billions, but over time, trillions. China, although they're communist, they're not stupid. So they don't completely strong arm every business that comes in. Of course, they make sure it does what they want to do, but they've allowed a lot of American people and businesses to make a lot of money in China. Of course, you have to play along to their terms, but I don't believe that China's been that crazy. But now that America's saying that you can't do this in our country, China could do that. There's a lot of leverage that China has that they've never fully used, because they don't need to. So like America's going to act like it's just going to force China to sell their company. China could say, you can't own anything in our country at all either. You have to sell all your stuff. You don't think there's people making American money in China? So America's really swinging its dick, for lack of a better term, everywhere in Israel and Palestine and Ukraine and in China. Can we do it? Sort of, but it's like, is life here really good? America's been swinging its dick. How's American life? They can't even fix the border. They can't fix the city. So I don't know what America's doing, but it's not fully benefiting me right now. So, like the politicians here are just, in my opinion, just swanging and just going nuts on everybody. But it's like, okay, what's their end game? What's their end game in Ukraine? What's their end game in China? What's their end game with Israel? To me, it just doesn't benefit the American people right now because they're such psychopaths, and they got to fix America from within, but they're not doing that. So I tend to not trust them. Someone said America sold their jobs and independence by sending manufacturing overseas. Partially, yeah, that's true. Someone said, I'm so jealous I missed you performing with Trapped. My Uncle Sean is the, hold on, I want to see that. My Uncle Sean is the lead guitarist for the band. Oh, yeah, we've had great conversations. He's the man. So, well, hopefully we'll be doing more shows this year with Trapped. So shout out to your uncle. He's awesome. The whole band's really fun. So we'll see. Can I invite Whitney Webb on the channel? Yeah, that's a possibility. Tomorrow I'm going to have Sagar from Breaking Points. Do you guys like him? He's going to come on the show. I'm not sure what the topic's going to be yet, and I'm not quite sure what I'm going to ask him because he's been in media for a while, so I want to ask him what he thinks. Someone said, you said you're not a Judeo-Christian, but do you follow the Old Testament? If so, that's by definition Judeo-Christian. Is it not? Well, Christians believe, I mean, I can't speak for all, but Christians like the Old and New Testament. So I'm just like, I'm not Islamo, Judeo. I'm not Judeo-Christian. I'm not Christian, Judeo. I'm Christian. You could take it as you will. I'm not wrapping my religion in, like, I'm not putting another religion in front of my religion that has a book that says that Jesus is boiling in poop. If they want to have a book that says Jesus is boiling in poop, I'm not going to cry about it, but I'm not putting that religion in front of my religion. That's like saying that like the Pharisees like really like Jesus. They just, they really liked him. There's not really much difference. It's like there kind of was a big difference between Jesus's disciples and the Pharisees. But if we want to pretend that there wasn't, then that's on you. But I'm not judging people. I'm not telling people that they're bad or I'm good. I'm just saying I don't subscribe to the ideology. I personally believe that would be like saying that, you're British because George Washington was British and, because he was British, Americans technically Britain. It's like, it's kind of not though. The rejection of Britain is what made America America. And George Washington was an American who happened to be British that rejected the British rule, which is what made him George Washington. So I feel that way personally about Jesus. You could call it what you want, but I'm not like a sold out donor backed conservative media host where I have to put a whole nother religion in front of my religion just to be able to speak and talk. It's not terminology that interests me, but it's whatever. Who do I think Trump will pick for VP? Well, I said years ago that it was going to be Elise Stefanik, so I don't really know. That's my guess. I'm sticking with it since I said it years ago. But as far as, I don't know, Tim Scott seems like Trump likes him a lot. I don't know who Trump's going to pick. Maybe he tried to pick DeSantis. Not sure, but I said Elise Stefanik years ago, so I'm just going to stick with that because if it's right, then I look really smart. But if not, then I'm just going to pretend like I never said it. I'm just kidding. You hope it's Vivek? I do not. I don't hope it's Vivek. I think it's crazy to want a vice president. I don't even want to get into it. It's going to annoy me. It's like last time Mike Pence was not the greatest vice president, but like, what's the one thing that Republicans didn't like about Mike Pence? They didn't care about his coronavirus task force or any of that stuff, but it was the fact that he wouldn't overturn the election on January 6th, or he wouldn't send the electorates back to the electorates, which probably would have got him arrested. Not only would Trump not be president, but Mike Pence probably would have got in trouble like everybody else. But in general, it's like, that's your big thing. And then Vivek said he cried on January 6th. Why would you want a pharmaceutical billionaire who cried on January 6th to be the vice president? I just can't with Republicans anymore. It's like, we're not living in the same reality. It's like, you guys are just looking for like a superhero. So you like slobber over pharmaceutical billionaires who cried on January 6th. That's who you want as your vice president. It's like, my gosh, this is why I don't even want to vote. It's like, get me away from this stuff. Anyway, do I like rock climbing? I look like I would because I'm tall. Well, that's heightist. You think every tall person just wants to climb rocks just because they're tall? No, I'm not a rock climber. I'm not against it, but I'm not good at it. I don't like heights, to be honest. Not a big rock climbing fan. Someone said, might be unpopular opinion, I think Pence did the right thing. I've said that the whole time. I 1,000% agree. It makes no sense to send the electorates back to Pennsylvania once they already sent them in. Nothing would have happened. Nothing would have changed. You can't change the votes. The vice president can't do anything. It's a Hail Mary that would have probably got him put in prison, and nothing would have changed. But this is the problem. When you worship Donald Trump and you're desperate, you just do desperate things. You go to January 6th, you go here, like you're just a desperate because you believe something that's not real. You follow a vaccine salesman. Your whole life is a lie and you're getting upset. I don't play those games. I've said that the whole time. He didn't do the wrong thing on January 6th. But people, basically Trump supporters just want you to do something and go to prison so they could say you're a hero or something. But just being like, no, they'll be like, oh, you should have done that. No, that's not. There's nothing. Then why did they change the rule in Congress? I don't know. If you want to believe that vice presidents can send electorates back and change the results, then have fun when Kamala Harris does that. Now we don't have a country. Now, like, that's the funniest thing about the Trump movement is it's so mind-bogglingly subversive that everything that Trump says he's doing, he's actually doing the opposite. Like, he's fighting socialism. He's doing socialism. He's for free speech. He sells out the First Amendment for Israel. He's pro-Second Amendment, but he infringes on bump stocks. He wants your privacy, but he re-signs the Patriot Act. He's going to save elections and make them, but then he's convincing you to give the power to the vice president to be able to somehow subvert the regular results because you don't like them. Now opening the door for Kamala Harris or anyone else to do that whenever Trump actually wins. Like, it's like everything Trump says he's doing, he like brainwashes his movement to do the opposite. It's like, let's save election integrity by completely imploding elections 100% to the point where it goes from not really mattering to like literally not mattering. And they're like, let's do it. It's like, oh my gosh. But it's hard to tell that to people because everybody, it's like sheep. They all go in the same direction. Nobody asks questions. It's crazy. Someone said, I'm pro-life and I'll vote for Trump. Good for you. Congrats. Who am I voting for? If the election were today, I'm going to the gym. If Trump can inspire me by the time the election comes, then I'll vote for him. But I'm not inspired right now by Trump. He's got to like impress me. So we'll see. Let's see. I want to get some unique questions. This guy is a grifter, just like the rest of these internet fools. What's up, Chris Strange? We could definitely work again, my man. Send me a beat, bro. You already know I'm trying to rap. So I would love to rap on one of your beats, my friend. Shoot me an email or send me a message on Insta and send me some of your fire, bro. I'd love to. All right, CRL2778. This guy's a grifter. He says, why do you think I'm a grifter? I don't care. I'm just like, I'll let you make your best case for why I'm a grifter, why I'm the worst or whatever. Let me know. Did I see it will take 10 years to rebuild the bridge in Baltimore? Yeah, I don't know how long it takes to build bridges, but is it taking that long because they're taking their time or just because it's hard to build a bridge? I don't know. Anomalies rap battle roasting became roasting people in politics and media. Yeah, that's why I'm good off the top. I mean, I've been freestyling since I was like 20 years ago. So I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I could come up with things very quickly. I like to diss people like rap battling. It's a great observation. I've been rap battling since like high school and middle school. So I think it's natural for me to like to comedically roast people. I'm just not rhyming, but I could rhyme if that's what people would like. Let me see. Will Trump debate JFK Jr.? You mean RFK Jr.? Probably not. No. I wonder. Oh my gosh, dude, this guy's so boomered out. He goes, "So you'd rather a Democrat than Trump?" And he does like the three Ks, like Democrat. You know how they do it, and they call the Democrat the KKK. So I would rather have a Democrat than Trump. Well, I also never said that. I live in California. My vote doesn't matter. Like if I go and vote for Trump just so you don't call me a Democrat, like the Biden's going to win California. All the votes are going to go to him in California electorally, so it doesn't matter. With that being said, no, but I don't think Trump is like really anything. So I'm just not inspired to vote for him. It's not like I'd rather a Democrat. No, I don't know. I'd rather people wake up. So I don't, whether Trump wins or loses, like what's it going to take for you to realize what's going on in this country? Does Trump need to win? Does he need to lose? Like, I'm not sure. I just don't care. Someone said people don't realize what grifter means. Oh, I mean, he was going with if you don't vote for Trump, then you like Biden, you are Democrat. Yeah, dude. These people are like fried off Benny Johnson, Dan Bongino stuff, but whatever. Anomaly. Do you think searching YouTube Poland and having videos say it's safer than the USA, it's about to be a global powerhouse? Well, I think they just elected a liberal, so I don't know. I think the good thing about Poland is they were very conservative and like culturally sound, and they just elected a total fraud. So I don't know if Poland's going to be as good as it is now forever. They're probably going downhill too, but we'll see. It's all the big cities like Warsaw, they brainwash the kids with like Western music, and then the kids are like, yeah, we need to destroy it. But also, when you're in a country like Poland, the critique would be, although I think it's awesome, people are very narrow-minded and it could be very boring, like if you're like different, everybody looks at you weird. It's like every house looks the same, everybody does the same thing, they think the same things. There's pros and cons to all type of society, but I do think that a lot of stricter countries where like Americans would look at them and be like, I wish I lived there. I mean, you could go live there. It's not, there's pros and cons, but I think I've heard complaints from people that are from European countries is that they just feel like everybody's so like narrow-minded and it's like super boring, but I've never lived there. Hobbs said, "Hey, Anomaly, I believe Trump helps the deep state. What do you think?" Like I said, this is like, I can't tell people what to say, but there's a few things. One, I feel like I'm almost watching a movie where they just pass the baton. It's like good cop, bad cop. Like they bring in the cop to do the Ukraine thing, then they switch him out for the other cop to do the Russia or the Israel thing, and then they'll switch him out to do the COVID thing. So that's my personal take. I haven't seen enough to not be convinced that Trump is not just a character. So it's like, I think they're going to do whatever they want to do anyway, because they have all of Congress on their side. And until Americans wake up to this theater, then it's just going to keep happening. Like, it doesn't matter if you vote for Romney or Obama or Trump. Like, I'm getting to the point where I legitimately think it doesn't matter, because they're going to do whatever they want. And people are always going to like blame each other. And then it's just never going to get solved. Another thing is, like I said, I think the Ukraine war is going to wrap up. So if Trump gets in, he's the perfect candidate. Like, a lot of the billionaires, a lot of the big backers, obviously like the deep state or whatever, they're all pro-Israel. Trump is very pro-Israel. So they're complaining like Biden's not pro-Israel enough, even though he is too. He's just trying to play both sides for the election, because most left-wingers are pro-Palestine, and, Biden needs their votes to win. So he's not really pro-Palestine. He's just saying that or pretending to play defense, like just like Trump kind of is. But anyway, I'm not convinced they don't want Trump to win, because Trump will crack down on the college campuses. People don't realize this, because all of this, I'll read the super chat in a second. All of this college campus stuff that's going on now. Go Google Trump's anti-Semitism executive order in 2019. he passed an executive order to basically try to call anti-Semitism hate speech and be able to crack down on exactly what we're seeing now. Like, so a lot of these billionaires, like the Bill Ackman types and stuff, they're not, I don't know if he's saying he wants Trump to win, but like they're tired of Biden and liberals and these commies, because the commies aren't Zionists. So they want someone like a Trump or a DeSantis to come in, because they're like, you know, right-wing authoritarian Zionists to the point where they will shut down free speech. They will conflate certain things in order to silence these people and clean up the university. So I think, I don't think, like, part of me thinks that, yeah, they want Trump to win because the Ukraine war is going to go down. Trump could take credit for it. The Israel, at least Netanyahu, because this is what I want to say real quick too, is that people don't realize that Republicans are more pro-Israel than even like Israeli media. And I'm not saying Israeli media hates itself, but Israeli media like Haaretz, Times of Israel, they have a lot of disagreements with Netanyahu. There's thousands of people in Israel that want Netanyahu to step down because they realize that what he's doing in Gaza is making the world hate them, and they don't want to be hated. Republicans are more Zionists than even people who live in Israel, to the sense of like, they have zero criticisms for Netanyahu. They think nothing's wrong. They don't care if he wiped out all of Gaza. Like, it's crazy. And it's like not good for the perception of Israel or Jewish people just based on what they're doing. I'm not saying it's fair. I'm just saying, like, the reality is that like Republicans are so in the bag for Israel. Like, you'll find better criticism of Israel in Israeli news than you'll ever find from the Republican Party. Like, the Republican Party is like more pro Netanyahu's regime than like even some people in Netanyahu's regime. Like, it's crazy. So I think there's a lot of people that want Donald Trump in office because he's going to let that happen. And I think, you know, there's a lot of plays going on with that land, with the port, you know, that Trump would probably be like, yeah, do whatever you got to do, but maybe not. I don't know. Maybe Trump would say no, or only time will tell. I just don't. Yeah, I don't think they don't want Trump in. Like, he's pretended to be this outsider, but I don't really see him that way anymore. But who knows? Kelly with the super chat said, Jordan P. recently interviewed Mossab Hassan Youssef, the son of a Hamas founder. It was an eye-opening interview about Muslims, Israel, Hamas, and the Palestinians are a made-up culture filled with hatred and chaos. I mean, I'll check it out, I guess, but I don't know. So you're saying someone interviewed one of the sons of the founders of Hamas, and he convinced you that Palestinians are made up? It sounds a little odd, but I mean, maybe I'll check it out. Someone said he's a liar. Yeah, to me, that sounds kind of like a TV propaganda like bit, but I don't know. I'm not going to say they're made up, but I'll check it out. Anytime like mainstream media does, like, are you saying Jordan Peterson? Are you saying Jordan Peterson did an interview? If Jordan Peterson did an interview, it might as well be like the Israeli government doing the interview. Like, Jordan Peterson, the difference between Jordan Peterson and that is not very much. So like, I'd probably rather read Haaretz or Times of Israel than listen to Jordan Peterson on Israel, because he's like literally like has dinner with Netanyahu. I'm not saying he can't, but it's like he's not this like journalist interested in both sides. He's like more in the bag than most Israelis are. That's just the truth, you know. Someone said, "What is your Christian testimony and how did you come to know and love Christ?" I mean, I don't want to bore you. Well, I don't know if I'd bore people, but I grew up as a Catholic. I was the first one in my family that questioned God. You know, I bought Richard Dawkins books in middle school. I thought I was an atheist. I thought I was so smart because I thought I had outsmarted Christians and Catholics, because I could tell something was a little suspicious with religion, which I still think it is, to be honest. But you know, then 20s, I became more spiritual. I read the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu and Eckhart Tolle books, and that made me more like Taoist. I never considered it my religion, but I became very self-aware. I still believe I'm self-aware. I still like those books, and I still think anybody can gain value from it. I don't think it's like a religion for me. It's just a mindset, thought process that helped me a lot. And then it was, you know, it's 2016, 2017, 2018, hanging around the right people, hanging around Christians, having them be good influences in my life brought me back to Christ. I think that was definitely like the moment where it all sort of came together. I stopped calling it the universe, and, you know, I started getting back to my roots. And I think even just culturally, just watching the left and right and watching Republicans and Democrats and what they were doing to Trump, plus, what he was saying and what Christians were saying, it all just started coming together with me. And I think it hit at the same time as like my wisdom of like, now I never thought about abortion or like certain topics. I just was like, whatever. And then I started seeing everything and I started putting it together. And, I just came to the conclusion that that was the truth and that it made sense for me. So that's like the watered down short-term version of it. What do I think about all the military aged illegals that have been sent to sanctuary cities? And are they sleeper cells? Well, two parts of this question. One, there's millions of people here. Like there's all sorts of South American gangs that are robbing people, stealing homes. Like to me, it's kind of creepy to be a house owner in America now because there's millions of illegals. And I'm not saying all of them are doing this, but they're not letting the best of the best through, as our late great friend Donald Trump has said, or our friends, it's getting weird. So without even thinking about sleeper cells, they're here. There's criminals, there's gangs, they're stealing shit, they're robbing people at gunpoint, they're breaking into their homes. Tens of thousands of people are having their stuff broken into. And it's not all, but a large reason of it is the borders open and there's no accountability. So outside of the thought of sleeper cells, like it's already happening, it's real, it's here. With that being said, I think there's also there could be, but also I do think we are ripe for not a false flag narrative or a real tragedy. I don't even want to talk about this because I just don't feel like talking about it because it's creepy to talk about and I don't want the spotlight on me. But like, you got Israel, it can shoot down like hundreds of drones and high-speed missiles, but the event that spurred off everything, I'm not saying it was fake because I don't think it was. And of course, I believe everything that Ben Shapiro says because Ben Shapiro is the best and no one would ever lie. And you can't say anyone would ever lie. I'm not saying nothing happened. I would never say that. But paragliders, everybody knows it. Everybody's thinking it, like paragliders got through, but you're stopping drones, but you missed paragliders. I'm not saying nobody got hurt and nothing bad happened. I'm just saying at what point did, that regime want that land and they wanted to go after certain people and that justified it. With the border's wide open. So in my view, of course, there's the possibility of real attacks, but then there's also the possibility of, using that as a narrative. All these right-wing boomer, liar, fraud Republicans, like I'm not going to name names, but all of them, they're all pushing the sleeper cell narrative because eventually, I believe, one day there's going to be an event and they're going to use it to justify the war and more funding because it's like, oh, we don't, the public opinion's going against certain narratives. Oh, look at these sleeper cells from the country we want to invade. That's who did it, and it's the terrorists, and we got to go kill the terrorists. And then all of a sudden, $50 billion is going to go to foreign countries. We're going to be fighting the terrorists, and we're going to be, just killing tens of thousands of civilians. Like they're going to need more of that in order to get people on the side of that narrative because, like, it's it's not the public opinion is not there, and I don't know that even that would fix it. To be quite honest, I don't even think that would work. But it's like, yes, there's real robberies. Yes, there's real murders. Yes, there's real people breaking into houses. There's real rapes going on, and there's real all this stuff's going on in America and all. But like, they want so badly to have a narrative to then blame another country that they already want to go after. So I don't know. I'm suspicious because all the Fox Newsy boomers, like, this is funny. Like, most people stopped trusting Fox News. So then all these rebranded Trump dick garglers, sorry, I couldn't think of a nicer way to say that. They all rebranded and they're like, we're so much better than Fox News. And they're literally just Fox News rebranded. They're doing the same thing, same war agenda, same everything. They're just, instead of like questioning Donald Trump and being Fox News, they like love Trump and they're the same exact as Fox News. They're all pushing the same narrative. They're all saying, oh, sleeper cells, Muslims are going to come. There's Hispanics here. There's Africans. There's probably Muslims coming across the border too, but it's mostly like South American gangs that are stealing people's expensive stuff. Like houses are getting broken into everywhere. as far as this narrative that Muslims are going to cross the border, to me, that sounds like what the boomer con foxtards want all the Republicans to think. So as soon as something happens, they could tell you that they need to go fight Iran even harder. They need to go invade Syria again, or whatever they want to do. You know, they're going to use the group that they want. And I think that public perception is so against our allies right now. So I don't know. And it's so, I was just talking to my friend about this because, like, you know, it's so sad what these politicians are doing, because really what they're doing, in my opinion, is, especially Republicans, like a lot of these Republicans that are so pro-Zionist and pro-Israel, they're not even Jewish. I'm not saying you have to be. I'm just saying they're using like all Jewish people as like a shield to push their political agenda. And they're like, we're helping Jewish people. It's like, you're really not, though. You're raising a lot of disdain, and and they're not doing anything. Like, all these people are not doing anything, but you're using the average Jewish person as a shield to push this agenda. And then when someone comes out and has honest American criticism, like, listen, I don't hate Ukrainians because of Ukrainians. Ukraine's taking a lot of our money, or like Israel's taking a lot of our money. They gaslight and they call you Hamas, and they call you, oh, you must be a Palestinian. You must be a Biden supporter. And it's like, even if you're going to give hundreds of billions of dollars to foreign countries, can't you at least admit the truth? Can't you be like, I understand, I'm Josh Hawley, or I'm Tom Cotton, or I'm whoever, Ron DeSantis, and I understand why my constituents would be against what I'm doing, because our country's falling apart. We couldn't get border security, but we're funneling money to other countries. Republicans never do that. They just act like you're crazy. Like, it's crazy that you wouldn't want to fund Israel. You're just a psycho. You know, it's that gaslighting that's just making the public perception get even crazier, because they're passing speech laws. I tried to point this out on Twitter, and it went over the heads of boomers because they were just like, couldn't understand it. There was a left-winger, right? A left-wing politician who was Jewish, who was talking about police brutality of Palestinian activists, right? They were defending the Palestinian activists. And a right-wing Republican politician who wasn't Jewish told them that they're not being real Jews. It's like, who gives a Republican non-Jew the right to tell a left-wing Jew what a Jew is? Does this right-winger even know what's in the Talmud? Does she even know all of the sects of Judaism and Kabbalah? Or like, this person probably has no idea what Jews are even doing with Judaism, but they're telling a left-wing Jew, you can't be a Jew unless you support Israel, or you can't be a Jew if you have any criticism of the police of the protest. And the craziest part about it is it's a Republican politician telling a left-wing Jewish person that they can't do that. Meanwhile, Republicans are passing into law a law that says you can't say that Jewish people in America have loyalty to Israel. So they're passing laws to say you're not allowed to say that certain Jewish people have loyalty to Israel. But then when there's Jewish people in America who don't have loyalty to Israel, all of a sudden they're getting attacked by Republicans. Someone said 80% support Israel. I'm sure it's that high, but I'm just saying I'm pointing out now the hypocrisy of passing a speech law where you're like, you can't say everybody's loyal to Israel. And then you have that 20 to whatever percent that isn't loyal to Israel. And they're like, I'm American and I'm concerned. And they're like, you can't do that. It's like passing laws and then inverting the laws. Like, it's just so, they don't realize that they're and it is what it is at this point, but they don't realize that they are actually causing so much division, so much backlash to their allies, because they're just gaslighting everyone all the time. Like, oh, what are you, anti-Semitic if you don't want to give your money to this country? It's like, do you think that's gonna help? These people are just so sold out. It's like they're just guzzling money out of America, sending it to whoever. And then these Republicans are like, yeah, it must be hatefulness. It must be hatefulness that everybody doesn't want to send the money. They must be just really hateful. We need to pass more hate speech. It's like the lack of self-awareness is unbelievable. It's causing so many issues, but they don't care. And the biggest smack in the face is the border. They couldn't even use the border as leverage. And now they want to pass more hate speech laws. Why don't you fix the border? And a lot less Americans would be less upset, because they'd be like, at least our country is going in the right direction, but it's not. So of course our allies are going to face more scrutiny. Why wouldn't they? Your brother cover said, if we got an actual America first and deeply Christian president in power, would it make a meaningful impact? I don't know. I mean, if you want somebody, in my opinion, that knows what they're doing, that would actually try, put Thomas Massie as the president, and then we'll see. Could Thomas Massie do some stuff? Possibly. I don't know. He's the one that I think actually knows how to do stuff. It's possible, but I think a president that was a real person that actually cared about America, yeah, I think they could change things. But a lot of it has to do culturally. I'll say this too about Trump. This is what's also annoying. Like, no matter whether he has executive power or not, Trump has the minds of 100 million people. If you tell your people, hey, let's all get in shape, right? Let's get way too jacked for the gulag. Let's start being healthier. Let's scrutinize the food that our American citizens are eating to make sure that we get better food in all of the supermarkets. Let's improve our country from the ground up. Trump doesn't. He's like a fat cartoon character who just guzzles down Diet Coke, sells vaccine, hangs out with Johnson and Johnson, takes meetings with Bill Gates, you know what I'm saying, passes speech laws for a foreign nation, and then has a bunch of Americans running circles around him, and everybody's just still getting fat and addicted to pills. So it's like, outside of even the executive power that Trump is a motivator, he's never told people to work out or exercise. He's literally told people, like, he told Sweden to lock down, like, and told people that he's the father of the vaccine. He was inspirational in 2016. He's a trailblazer. He's a revolutionary. I appreciate Trump for what he's done, but at this point, he's just in the way. He's not doing anything. Like, the longer Trump stays around, the fatter people are going to get, the more addicted the pills are going to get, because Trump doesn't say anything about it. He doesn't give a crap about people. So, like, when you talk about a Christian leader and a Christian president, I'm thinking like a real man who's strong, takes care of himself, and says, hey, American people, conservatives, liberals, everyone, let's start exercising. Why is everybody so fat when 50 years ago you'd all be in a circus and now that's just the average person? I'll tell you why everybody's fat. It's because our food supply is tainted. It's because big agriculture has taken over our food supply. It's because big pharma has taken over politics. That's what RFK says. And what does Trump say? Trump says he's lying. Trump is like inverted devil. You know, it's like he's like an inverted leader. He's brainwashed all the conservatives and pro-America Christians to love him, and he's literally just treating you like tax cattle. So it really bothers me, but I would consider a real Christian conservative American leader, which I believe America needs, a man who knows that Americans need to fix themselves. But Trump, he's a celebrity. He loves to be loved. He loves to be loved so much. He wants Democrats to like him, even though they never will. He'll do things for Democrats, hoping they like it, and they never do. Trump is not a guy who wants you to be a real man. Trump is not a guy who wants you to get your stuff together. He's a guy who wants you to worship him. He doesn't care if you're 10,000. And I'm not saying every person has to, like, you can't like if somebody likes you. I appreciate when anybody of any size and any type of person. But if I'm going to be the president, if I'm going to be the leader of this movement, even now, it's like, let's get in shape. Because that's why we're being abused, because we're easy to be abused, because we don't love ourselves. So pushing this message, I mean, he does it somewhat, but I feel like he's very, he's just in the way. Like, he's not that great of a leader. Whether he's president or not, I don't think he's going to fix anything. I don't think he has the mindset or desire to really fix anything legislative. And I think leadership wise, he's not that great. So, whatever it takes to get somebody, like I said, in there. Even Thomas Massie's better. He's not super like jacked and like leading people to victory, but he understands politics. He's an ethical guy, and he knows how government works, and he knows how to do, to the best of his ability, what he could do. So, I just like, Trump is annoying to me. I think he's a false leader, and he's just wearing down conservatives, like wearing them down. So in 6 years, it's going to be even harder to fix all these problems. Someone said, first thing Trump did is load 2.3 trillion in debt on the backs of Americans. That's another thing with Trump economically too. It's like, people think that he's this great economic leader. Like, I actually don't think so at all. On one hand, he did really well for 3 years, but then the fourth year, he printed so much money. We're going to have inflation for a decade off of the money Trump printed alone, off of Joe Biden's money printing as well. Now we're facing an even huge problem. COVID, if you look at money printing, let's just say it was like this, right? It was going up. COVID went like this, and Trump pushed it that way, and Biden kept printing. Like, we're screwed because of what Trump already did. But the thing with Trump is he's such an arrogant, self-centered guy that he's always concerned with what looks good for him. Like, he has no problem raising or lowering interest rates when it doesn't make sense to temporarily look good for his economy, so you can't buy milk for the next 10 years. Like, fluctuating with interest rates, if you do too much or you cut it too much, there's a cost. There's a consequence to either way, whether it's too high or too low. Trump's always trying to cut them just to make himself look good temporarily, but economic people understand it's not good long term. So everything he does, even with the vaccine, he pushed hydroxychloroquine and all these other alternative drugs for a while, until probably people came to him and said, hey, the vaccine's coming out, shut up, or else it won't work through the PrEP Act, and we can't use the liability shields, and we can't use the emergency order because it wasn't FDA approved at first. It was like the emergency use authorization. Like, you can't talk about other stuff in order to get the vaccine out. So as soon as Trump stopped hyping up the alternative, like, people think, oh, he did that because he cares about us. No, he wanted less people to die to look good for him for the election. And he wanted to rush the vaccine, not because it was good for you. It looks good if it comes out before. If you listen to Trump talk, you can see exactly who he is. He says that we wouldn't even need mandates if I were president because everybody would have wanted to get the vaccine. I got the vaccine. I rushed it out. It was me, not Biden. They held it because they want everything in Trump's head is him. He doesn't give a crap about you guys. So it's like, like, he's not actually even good at economics. He's no libertarian. He's no Thomas Massie. He's no Ron Paul or Rand Paul. Trump is a big, goofy idiot that people have fallen in love with. Like, he'll cut the interest rates, make himself look amazing for 2 years, print $7 trillion like he did during 2020, leave office, then everything goes to shit, and he'll convince you that it wasn't him. You can't just cut interest rates. It would be nice to buy certain things and not have crazy loans, but in general, economics doesn't work that way. And the more you print and the more you waste, then it becomes even harder to do that. You got to recollect the money. So it's like, Trump is an idiot. I don't even think he's good for the economy personally. Like, I don't see him as this economic wizard of conservative values. He's a New York Democrat, total selfish scammer that will do anything. So Biden is good? Catherine, the boomer brain, just, you never know. Biden sucks. But the point that I'm making is, if Biden sucks and everything I said about Trump is true, then you're not voting your way out of this. So the solution is you have to notice how these things work. Like, if you don't know how economics works and you just say, I like the guy and I don't pay attention to what he does, then they're just going to send you back and forth between guy, bang, 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 guy. You get what I'm saying? No, it doesn't. Like, it doesn't. That's not how the world works. Everything's not like, if that's true about Trump, then Biden must be good. I'm not trying to just blame boomers. It's so easy. But it's like, this is why the country is the way that it is. You haven't been able to vote your way out of this for the last 40 years. George Bush won. Nothing changed. Obama won. Nothing changed. Trump won. We ended in a lockdown. You're not voting your way out of this. I said this in my other video, and I'm not trying to be rude. I was trying to be nice today. And it's not all boomers, but there's a certain generation, boomers, but there's a certain generation that they don't want to take accountability for anything they did. They don't want to learn. They don't want to listen. They just want to spiral at anybody who teaches them something new, because a new thought makes them mad. They just want to just keep being rude to everybody and being wrong about everything. But it's like, they don't want to take accountability. So they just want to believe that somebody's going to come wipe their ass because they already screwed up the country. The second you tell them that that's not happening, they spiral because they don't understand. They're like, what do you mean? Does that mean the Biden? No, what don't you get about you're not voting your way out of this? You're not just going to have a guy come and save all the mistakes you made for the last 40, 50 years and make everything rainbow and sunshine. That's not how reality works. That's not how politics works. Stop doing it. It's like, people are starting to get so annoyed with you guys because you don't understand this basic concept of reality for whatever reason. And it's like, not only do you not understand, but you're constantly rude to everybody who tries to teach you. It's very frustrating. It's like, it's okay that you don't know what you're talking about. It's okay that you ruined America. It's okay that things have went downhill because you didn't pay attention and you don't understand how politics works and you got scammed and you're high trust and you thought that the food industry and big pharma was really on your side when they weren't for 30 years, but you didn't want to do the research. It's okay. We all forgive you. But the least you could do is just listen now, learn, and we could fix it. But how are we ever going to fix it if you're like, so then it's Biden? No. It's such a simple concept, but people don't listen and learn. They just want to keep looping. Someone said anomaly come to Bulgaria. Are you the plug in Bulgaria? You guys gonna treat me like a king out there? Nah, I appreciate you, brother. I'm sure there's good people out there. Shout out Bulgaria gang. I've never been there, but we got supporters out there. Jay Case with a $50 super chat. He says, I appreciate your honesty. You're interested in the truth. You come across kind, genuine, thoughtful, and inquisitive, similar to you. No one ever gave me $1. My wife and I have done okay in helping support you. The money well spent. Thank you. Jay, I appreciate you, man. You're always crushing on here, and I'm very grateful. Thank you so much. I feel like I come across as rude sometimes. I am a very kind and genuine person. Thank you. But I come across as rude, but it's like at a certain point, it's like people don't get stuff and it's just a little annoying. You know, it's like, so what, you know, like I was talking about the concept of like the speech law thing. And this lady's like, so are you saying Israel's not our greatest ally with the Palestinian protesters? And it's like, did you even read what I said? Like, are you even listening? You know, it's like I'll say one thing and they'll be like, so Fox News, the day about Gina and the programming, the Israel and the freaking Shapiro and the Biden. And you're like, do we live on the same planet? Is this even a planet? Are we in a dome? Are my domers? You feeling me? No, but you know, is this the Truman Show? It's like, read what I wrote. And then read what you said about it. But it's like if I don't just drool out of my mouth and say, give all our money to Israel, then you're like, what does that mean? It's like, read what I wrote. See, and I'm guessing you're a boomer. Constant says, are you so dense? And then the boomers start being rude and projecting like you're the dense one. Like I'm trying to explain something and they're like, you're dense, not me. And it's like, no one believes you anymore, boomers. Just stop, you know? I'm not trying to be rude, but it's like, listen. For some reason, people don't listen. Like it would be like talking to each other for 10 minutes and you didn't hear a word that I just said. And you're like, what? That you never said. I'm like, I just said that, but you never heard it because you didn't listen. Like I was trying to make a specific point. It wasn't even about Palestine or Israel. It was like a simple point, but it included similar topics. So their mind like defaults to like exactly what they heard. You know what I'm saying? It's like regurgitating what they heard. And it's like, I know you heard that stuff, but like I've heard a lot of stuff too. The reason I know more now is because I'm listening and I'm learning and I'm considering. It's called consideration. It's a beautiful skill. If you're a considerate person, people like you. If you never consider anything, people don't like you. And then you're just rude and annoying. So just consider. I'm not asking you to agree with what I said. Just consider. You're not even listening to it and just crap is flowing out of your mouth about some topic you heard 5 years ago on Maria Bartiromo's show. Like, I know you think that, but it doesn't apply to what I'm saying because you don't understand anything. Like the point I was trying to make is it's wild when a Republican will tell a left-wing Jewish person that you can't be Jewish the same way Joe Biden says you can't be black if you do this. Meanwhile, they're passing speech laws that say the inverted, that you can't say the other side of it. Like you can't say that all Jewish people should be loyal to Israel, but the second that some aren't loyal to Israel, you start spiraling at them. If you're going to spiral at them, then stop passing the speech law that says the other. That's the point I'm making. It's not about Israel or Palestine. It's what I said, but you don't listen. Listen. People will like you if you listen. People will like you if you consider things. If not, it's just so crazy annoying. And then they'll be like, you're so dense. Someone said, you're not rude. Your patience is beyond me. Anybody who's watched my show for years, it's not always been that way. I've not always been as patient as I am now. The Lord definitely knows that, but I have gained a lot more patience recently. Because you stream enough, you get used to it. Your brother's cover said, I've been watching you since 2017. You opened my eyes to so much. You're a blessing, truth, and light. God bless you, sir. Much love. Thank you so much, brother covers. And I want to be, you know, like I can't give credit to everybody now, but I'm not like running around being like, the reason I know a lot and I consider a lot and I've gotten to the point that I've gotten to, I listen to other people. I learn. I consider. If they say something, I consider it. And then I agree or disagree with it. If you never consider anything, you're just a walking idiot. I'm not saying everyone's that way, but there's a lot of people in the world, including younger people. But I think the boomers, honestly, have a huge problem with this. But not all boomers. But it's like shockingly weird in that department. But it's like it's not that I want you to believe everything I believe or say everything I say. Make a point that makes sense. Do you know how many times on my people ask me a question? I'm like, that's a great question. Or they'll say something. I'm like, that's a great point. They'll say something that is not what I said. And I'm like, I didn't even think of that. That's really smart. Because I'm considering what they're saying. I don't just get mad when people disagree with me. I don't care. I get mad when I say something and a boomer yells at me with a narrative that has nothing to do with what I said. That's annoying because that means you're not considering anything ever. You're just walking around so self-righteous. It's so ridiculous. Someone said Anomaly's whole reality is the internet. It's actually not, though. I just had an hour conversation with a friend who happens to be Jewish, by the way. I'm not, it doesn't matter, but I'm just for context. And I know that they're nothing like people on the internet. Like they're not Netanyahu. It's not Ben Shapiro. Like normal people that are like probably not even aware of what's going on Twitter. And, my friend that I was talking to was like totally aware of like, was telling me that in Israel, like a lot of people think Netanyahu should step down. A lot of people are not pumped that, a lot of the actions has turned people against it. Just like normal combos, people that this person I was talking to probably has no idea they're passing speech laws, like, not in government, just like a normal person. And it's like, I've talked to so many people over my lifetime that's why I'm not hateful. Like I'm not one of these people that lives on Twitter and I'm like, everyone thinks this way. I know they don't. I understand that most people are not on the internet. Like you find the extremes on all sides, but it's like, I'm not just sitting on the internet getting all my opinions from like, I'm just researching, analyzing. I have real conversations with real people. It was not Roseanne. No, I don't. It's not like I have one Jewish person I talk to. It must be Roseanne. I mean, Roseanne is a high level, she's a high level Jewish person for sure. A top dog comedian, but it's not like I have a token friend that I'm like, please tell me what your people are saying. You're like, oh my gosh, black people are mad at me on Twitter. You're like, let me text my black friend. Let me text my black friend and be like, what's up, dog? Is like, nah, I'm not a weirdo. But anyway, that's kind of funny. It's like a funny concept. But anyway, jokes aside. Someone said her take on Candace Owens was crazy. No comment. This is the part that, like, someone said, Anomaly said many times he has Jewish friends. I do. They've been disproportionately great to me in my lifetime. In person, online, it's not always the case, but in person, I've had no issues with people. And I've had people breaking stereotypes. And I'm not saying, I'm just being like there's stereotypes of everything. Like people that are super generous, super chill, super nice, super, like not stingy at all. And this would do anything for you. I know a lot of really great people. It's just in general, in politics, there's just a lot of weird activity going on. But this is what annoys me on top of everything is like the Republic. And I'm not just saying this to pander because there's obviously like Jewish organizations as well that are doing a lot of stuff. The ADL, I mean, everybody, the World Jewish Congress and all these things. But in general, in my opinion, and I'm not just saying this to pander, I truly mean this, it makes more sense for Jewish organizations to do these things than it does for like the Republican Party to be batshit insane over Israel. I'm not saying they can't like Israel. I'm not saying they can't even fund Israel if they want to, but like Republicans are like the craziest people when it comes to Israel. Like you can read literal Israeli publications and they'll be like, here's why, maybe Netanyahu's not really helping us, or like, here's why we should have self-awareness. I'm not even joking. Like I've read articles where it was like a totally self-aware Israeli explaining like how what's going on is not good for them. It made total sense. I was like, that's an honest guy. That's an honest Israeli. The Republican Party is not that. They're like, we got to give them everything all the time. There's no reason that you could ever disagree with Netanyahu. You must be Hamas, 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 Hamas. It's like, holy crap. Republicans are insane over this topic. They're crazier than Israelis on Israel. I'm not even joking. And I'm not just pandering. Like Tom Cotton Like, try to have a real conversation with Tom Cotton, or even like Jordan Peterson you mentioned. He's just the same. Yeah, Jill Stein just got arrested. You know, she's a Jewish Green Party woman. She's pro-Palestine. I'm not saying you have to like her, but it's just like there's like the Republican Party, like Mike Johnson, Trump, Pompeo, DeSantis, all of the pretty much all the Republican Party besides Thomas Massie, they're crazy. Someone said epic speech. Dave changed my whole worldview. Are you talking about Dave Smith? He's a great Jewish American who's totally honest, and it makes people less hateful because they see an honest Jewish American and they're like, yeah, that guy's crushing. That guy is not lying to me. That guy is telling the truth. That guy really cares about America. Who hates Dave Smith the most? Zionists hate Dave Smith. Like, they're like, oh my gosh, he hates himself. Dave is not a self-hating Jew. He's not one of these liberals that literally hates themselves and like wears a pharmaceutical mask because they can't show their face. Dave doesn't hate himself. He's not one of these like losers. He's just an honest guy. But like Tom Cotton and all these like Republicans, they freak me out. I'm like, what do you think you're accomplishing? I don't like, I get it. You want to like funnel my money to Israel. I understand. But like, do you have an ounce of self-awareness? Like, do you realize that you're crazier? You're crazier for Israel than Israel media is. And of course, Israel media likes themselves. They're Israel, but you're crazier than them. Literally. Like, you'll never, if you listen to Haaretz or Times of Israel, it's going to be wildly pro-Israel, but there's going to be a few takes that are a little self-aware. Listening to the Republican Party, besides Thomas Massie, there's no self-awareness at all. It's like, it's so weird. Like, they're like straight up, I'm trying to say something that's not going to be deemed hate speech. They're like obedient, like, oh, here, what do you want? What do you want? It's like, you're like, are these even men? You know, like and this is where I'm embarrassed as an American. Like, how are these people winning elections? Why is nobody in conservative media challenging them? It's like, sir, yes, sir. Take the money from my people. We'll get no border wall. Sir, yes, sir. And it's like, what? Why are you doing? Why, like, no border wall for us. We'll take as many refugees as you want. Sir, yes, sir. We don't. It's like, stop, guys. Like, you're so over the top. Like, even most like pro-Zionist Jews are like, all right, it's a little heavy. Like, dial it back a bit. You're blowing the cover. They're like, we want you to support us and do what we want, but at the same time, like, it's kind of nuts, dude. Like, it's unnecessary. It's backfiring. It's not it, dude. Just tone it back like 5%. They can't even do that. It's just like, it's just crazy. Someone said Massie is a damn boomer. We don't hate all boomers. Don't call me a boomerphobe. If Massie is a boomer, we like Thomas Massie. We don't dislike all boomers. Anyway, someone said you're not wrong. It's like shockingly obvious. Like, you know, there's probably like, I don't know the whole population of Israel, but there's probably tens of thousands of people that are like, yo, Netanyahu's killing too many people. We should probably stop because like it's gonna make people hate us. And like Republicans are like, no, you get rid of them all if you have to. They're all Hamas, the kids, the babies. Like, that's the Republican Party. They're no different from Fox. Trump just rebranded Fox News and made it seem cooler. He's really not that different. None of these Trump guys are that different than the Fox News neocon. Like, it's all the same thing rebranded. It's so crazy. It's just like, and I'm not saying everyone in Israel feels that way, because obviously there's really pro-Israel people in Israel, the Likud party, etc. But there are Israelis that are like, maybe we should dial back the whole killing thing. And then like Republicans are like, no, do it, take it, gotta. It's like, aren't you supposed to serve America? I'm not counting percentages. I'm just saying it's not 100%. If you want to say it's 80 or you've done the math, I'm not saying it's 0 and I'm not saying it's under 50, but I'm just saying it's not everybody. I would say most of the Republican Party it's over 80% of the Republican Party. But here's the point I'm trying to make. And I know people don't want to have this point, but Israelis are Israelis. If they're 80% pro Likud or they're 80% pro what they're doing, that's their country. If 95% of the Republican Party is crazier than that, they're American politicians. That's the only point. I'm self-aware. I'm not. Their job is not to serve America in that country. Our job, our politicians' job is to serve America. So why is more of the Republican Party on board with a narrative that even a foreign country is not on board with themselves to that extent? Because even if you say 80% of Israel feels this way, which I don't know if it's true, why is it 98% of the Republican Party? That's the Republican Party is supposed to build the wall. They're so pathetic. Mike Johnson, if I ever saw him, I would look at him and I'd be like, "You're such a weasel, bro. you're a little weasel, man." And it's not because of his physical presentation. He's just a weasel. You know what I'm saying? I don't care if he was 10 foot tall. I'd still be like, "You're a really tall weasel, but you're a tall weasel." But it's disgusting. This guy's gross. Like, dude, Israel would never allow that. Russia would never allow that. No country would. Like, what? This is where, and this is my difference in how I do it. Israel would never allow that, but America allows it. And it's not just the left. We have the House. There's a lot of upset Republicans, but all it's going to take is Trump snapping their fingers and they'll get right back in line. We spend too much time on both sides blaming other people. The left blames the right blames the left blames white people or whatever, the right blames liberals, and but the truth is, like, we're allowing it all to happen. And I'm not telling you to do something. It's just like, pay attention. I don't want to make this point again because I know it's getting repetitive, but in the deep red areas, like Jesse Kelly said on Tucker, they have the worst Republicans. They have all the voting power to get the greatest people. They could be straight up the most right-wing people on the planet, based, do everything. You know what I'm saying? And they end up getting the biggest scammers because they don't care. A lot of these Republicans are so self-centered or delusional. I don't know what it is, but it's like, why is everybody fat and dying of pharmaceuticals? It's because you're voting in Republicans that are sold out to big agriculture and the pharmaceutical industry. And it's been that way for 30 years, and you guys don't care. Because Trump tells you, you don't have to care to be a good American. You just have to believe in me. And Republicans tell you, I'm going to beat Obama and we're going to bring back the race narrative. And like, it's this ping pong game they're playing with the American people. And there's no one to blame but ourselves. And it's like, that's why I don't like a lot of right-wing content where they're just like, look at the left. I don't know if you guys seen on Twitter, but you got all these Republicans hanging out with these left-wing Democratic operative types. Like I saw, Benny Johnson's meme guy, who I like. I'm not being disrespectful. I like him. He's never been rude to me, but he's hanging out with these like Democrat operative dudes. And it's like, look, we're getting along. And it's like, that's not that cool. Like, I'm not asking you to hate the guy, but like, why don't you guys have a real interview or a real conversation? Like, why are you guys taking thumbs up pictures in front of a Tesla for Elon Musk? It's like, it just shows you that the left and the right influencer class, it's like a giant circus. They're just like putting on a show. They're like, the left is so crazy. And then they're like, look, we're getting along with them. Get along with them. But makes sense. Tell Republicans that they can't just hate on the left all the time. Because for 4 years, you guys have been telling people, like, all these meme guys are like, screw the left, the left, the left, the left. And then they're like, look, I'm hanging out with the biggest left-wing frauds and operatives. And then you have, podcasts hiring Chris Cuomo. You have Donald Trump like saying Gavin Newsom's cool. It's starting to seem kind of like a circus. You understand? And then it's like, I'm not saying you can't get along with left-wingers, but you guys specifically, all of your content it's all the left. If you really believe that, then what are you doing? But also, it's like, it's this game that they're just making conservatives think you don't have to do anything. You don't have to get in shape. You don't have to look at Kansas. It's the same way, like, dude, when I talk to people about California, they think everything's San Francisco. And it's like, New Orleans is more dangerous than most areas in California. It's more dangerous than almost everywhere in California. I know it's a blue city, but it's like, it's still a red state. There's red rural areas that aren't crushing right now that should be, because they got good people there. But besides lack of industry, there's way too many pharmaceuticals and opioids. Who's the American leader that's going to say, listen, I almost said a white slur word. I don't think you're allowed to say it, but it's like, listen, Americans, patriots. And if you're going to talk to the Caucasians, you know what I'm saying? But like the rural whites. Now I don't know what I could say now. Everything hate speech, even about the whites. You got to watch yourself. But it said, like, listen, we got way too many people dying of pharmaceuticals. It's time to get your families in order. No more obesity. Work out. Get your kids in line. No more pharmaceutical deaths. And in these neighborhoods, hey, let's get it together, boys. Let's stop with the crimes. Let's start making America great again. Like, it's not like vote for me and go eat Chick-fil-A, while Dana White slurps Bud Light. Or, it's like that narrative. Like, Republicans are just, they don't care. Like there's got to be like, but when I talk to certain people, they're like, oh yeah, it's crushing here. It's not like San Francisco. And it's like, it's really not crushing there though. But it's like, it's the same way the left wingers in the cities, they like to just point at like Kansas and stuff. They're like, what the problem in San Francisco is? Kentucky. And it's like, what? You're your own problem. And in red states, you're your own problem, but people don't want to take, they don't want to care. They're like, it's them. And then like the whole country just goes to shit. It's very frustrating. Someone said the left is so evil, Anomaly doesn't even have to address them. We all know. Yeah, I mean, it's just like, it's low hanging fruit. It's like, yeah, I get it. Like that 21-year-old's like on Adderall and like doesn't know a gender and then like is mad at like Trump. It's like, cool. Like I get it. Like they're yelling, they're screeching. But then again, it's like, who raised them? Who are their parents? Am I going to blame a 20-year-old? No, at that point, who raised them? Who allowed them to do this? How many of their parents are liberal? And then how many of their parents are conservative? It's like, I said this, I saw this picture of like 700,000 or record breaking amount of people were in Detroit for the NFL draft. Listen, I'm a huge sports fan. I go to games. I love sports. Going to the NFL draft, that's a little wild in my opinion. Like that's crazy. But anyway, whatever. I wouldn't do it, but it's like all these people. And then I said, what's your first thought? And my first thought was this. And I said, how many parents were there that, especially conservative parents, because I already wrote off liberal parents because they're dumb, but in general, how many conservative dads were there that allowed their kids to go to college when there was a vaccine mandate? There's millions of conservative parents who allowed millions of their kids to get vaccinated at a liberal college because there was a vaccine mandate. And the dads and the moms, they had no conviction, or I don't know, do you want to play basketball? I don't know, do you want to go do it? And now they're 19, like a 19 and 20-year-old didn't have to, it's like, oh, it's for the elderly and the immune compromised. The dude's 19 years old. Like they don't need, can you say that on YouTube? But whatever. In general, it's like, and then they're probably showing up to go watch an NFL draft. I'm not against sports, but it's like, where are all the men when it matters? And then someone's like, that's the first thing you thought of? And then I commented, Joey knows. And then I commented, what was your first thought? Doritos, NFL draft. And I don't like Doritos anymore because it's got weird ingredients. But in general, it's like I eat chips sometimes. I'm not a perfect person. But like, what's your first thought when you think? Yeah, I'm not asking everyone's first thought to be my first thought, but at the same time, it's like, you're going to make fun of my thought. I didn't make fun of everyone else's thoughts. Some people had funny thoughts that weren't mine, but oh yeah, mine's so bad because I thought that. That's what I see when I see a MAGA rally too. It's just like, what are you guys doing now? It's not that you can't do it. It's just, all right. The lighting is getting a little rough here. Appreciate you guys. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. Tomorrow, I don't know what the topic's going to be, but I'm going to, am I going to expose California's state laws? I'll talk about it more, but I've definitely covered it. I actually posted today about California losing tens of billions of dollars for the homeless, so I'm on it. But anyway, in general, tomorrow I have Sagar from Breaking Points on. He wanted to come on the show, or he reached out, so I invited him on. He said he's down. I'm excited. He runs a pretty big podcast. I'm not familiar with all this stuff, but I've seen a lot of clips, and he always seems very honest. And like him and Crystal Ball have that show, so it's going to be cool to have him on, ask him some questions about what he's thinking about now. Have somebody here on the show with me, and also hopefully I'll ask him some good questions about just what he's seen in media and everything. Because Sagar's cool, man. He messaged me something nice, and I followed him on Twitter. He messaged me something nice, and I said, hey, you can come on the show anytime, or vice versa. So he said he's down to come on, and I told him, I said, bro, I've seen a bunch of your clips. I've never seen him lie. Like, that's the truth, And I told him that because I've seen probably 20 clips of him. Never once seen him lie. Never once seen him not making sense. So I was like, appreciate what I've seen from you. Like, you don't seem like a liar. You seem like an honest guy. So I'm pumped about it. Should be a good show. And yeah, come back tomorrow. Appreciate you guys. God bless you. Someone said I don't like Doritos because they made a blasphemous commercial. Just read the ingredients. Here's a game to play. Someone said Anomaly Capacious is a Latino. I'm part Puerto Rican. I'm part Latino. It fluctuates depending how Latino I have to be. You know what I'm saying? I play my card. I got a very small victim card, but I make it bigger when I have to. No, I'm just kidding. But in general, what was I going to say? Oh, Doritos. When you buy chips, go to the chip aisle and find other brands and look at the ingredients. Look how many ingredients are in Doritos. Look at the food dyes and the food colorings and like the crazy ingredients. And then go look at other chips and compare, and go buy yourself some chips that have like 5 ingredients or 6 ingredients or things that you understand what they are, not like 20 ingredients or however many they have. That's, do what you want, but like read the ingredients in Doritos, and then go to like a newer brand that seems more ethical and read those ingredients. And I think there's food dye and food coloring that's like been banned in other countries in Doritos, but don't quote me on it because I'm not 100% sure, but I believe it. So anyway, appreciate you. God bless you.
Hey, what's going on, my friends? Just a few ways to stay in touch and support if you'd like to. The first way is dreamrare.com. We have blue beanies, black beanies, pink hats, other colored hats, freedom versus tyranny shirts, stay blessed long sleeve, God is great long sleeve, and lots of more cool items coming soon. Dreamrare.com. Check out the shop to support. Everything's made in the United States. Handpicked by me. Patreon.com/raretalk. For $5 a month, you can help support me, support the show. If you haven't noticed, unlike other channels, I don't work with very many sponsors, sometimes none at all. And part of the way I'm able to do that is with the dreamrare.com shop and patreon.com/raretalk. So thank you guys for keeping this show free.